Hello everyone, tonight we are sitting in the dark with something that rings before it arrives. That's all you know. A sound and then a change. It has no hands, it doesn't knock, it doesn't ask permission, it simply rings. You are here now in the middle of a forgotten village where none of the doorways have hinges. No one builds doors where nothing ever leaves. You probably won't survive. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. Let me know where you're listening from and what time it is there. I always imagine some of you are walking your dogs, while others are curled up under too many blankets, trying not to look at the hallway. Now, turn off the lights, maybe turn on the fan for some soothing noise, and let's get started tonight. The stone bell never rusts. It's far too old for that, older than iron, older than bronze, older than whatever made your teeth ache when you first touched it. It's not even a bell, really. It's a carved volcanic core obsidian threaded with pale glass veins that only rings when no one is touching it. You've tested it, press your hand against it, and silence falls. Remove your hand, step back, and there it is again, ting, too soft to be useful, too exact to be coincidence. No one in the settlement knows where it came from, but it's always been on this pedestal of mammoth bone near the grove, near the well, near the last breath of your grandmother, though you try not to remember that part. They say it used to be a pestle used by early gatherers to crush herbs for burial oils. Or maybe it was part of a forgotten ritual object, broken and reassembled. Some researchers still argue whether obsidian can really resonate at all, purely volcanic glass, no structure for sound. But they don't live here, they don't hear it hum on winter nights, especially when someone's about to be lost. You, of course, have taken it upon yourself to guard the bell. You're not sure why. You're not especially brave. You flinch when ravens drop pine cones. You apologize to lizards when you startle them on sun-warmed rocks. But ever since that night when the bell rang and you woke to find frost on your windows, even though it was midsummer, you felt like someone ought to be watching it. And if not you, who? The elders won't. They mutter about boundaries. One swears the bell is a mimic copying the sound of something older, deeper, and not meant for this side of the soil. Another says the ringing is not a sound at all, but a memory being scraped awake. You asked her what she meant, and she just smiled the way people do when they know they won't be the ones finding out. You tried moving it once, just once. It didn't budge, and you were almost glad. Lately, it's been ringing more often. Always at the edge of hearing. Always when someone's just stepped out of sight. Ting-ting. You tried recording it once, holding your old recorder up to the pedestal for hours. When you played it back, the ringing was gone, but something else had replaced it. The sound of your own breath over and over louder each time, as if your lungs were trying to say something they couldn't. You haven't played the tape again. Last week a child vanished, no signs of struggle, no note, no rumors, just gone between one sunrise and the next. The bell rang all night. Tonight the air feels heavier. The wind doesn't bother with rustling the trees. It holds its breath as if waiting for something quieter than itself. You sit by the pedestal again, knees drawn up, lamp flickering beside you. The bell hasn't rung in an hour. You think you're being watched, but every time you look up, it's only the dark. That's how it works here. You see the presence after it's already moved, like mist where breath used to be. You wonder if the bell rings before the soul comes, or after it's already gone. It's a childish thought. But then again, so is believing in warmth or safety, or ever getting a clear answer. You touch the bell gently, and it goes silent beneath your palm. You leave your hand there, feeling the chill of volcanic glass and the tension of something waiting. You laugh nervously. Maybe it just hates being touched, you say aloud to no one. And then you hear it soft low behind you. The same tone, the same bell, but you're already holding it. You don't turn around. That's another thing they say. Don't turn toward the echo. It's never where it should be. It rings to trick your feet, not your ears. It wants you to step. Instead, you reach down and touch the ground, just to feel something real. It's wet. It hasn't rained. Maybe the well is leaking again. Or maybe it's not water. You laugh again just to break the thought. If I vanish, someone better take my shift, you say. And your voice sounds too large in the night, like it's filling a theater that used to hold prayers. A small moth lands on the bell. It doesn't ring. It never does when touched. But then it does. Soft, high, unmistakable. You didn't move. Neither did the moth. And your hand is still on the stone. You don't sleep that night. You sit by the bell until the sky gives up its stars. Even then, you wait a while longer until the insects remember to chirp again, until the dew stops smelling like old metal, until the wind dares to touch your cheek like it used to. You don't mention the second bell to anyone. Who would you tell? The herbalist who still leaves offerings in shoes. The woodcutter who insists the trees whisper full names only on foggy mornings. Your cousin, who once swore she saw her own shadow, bow to her before walking away. No, you keep it to yourself. That's the thing about strange sounds in this village. They're like secrets, real, but only if you carry them long enough. At the market that morning, the air feels off. Everyone is smiling too widely, as if they're trying to keep their teeth warm. Someone is playing a bone flute in a minor key, and every child under 6 is crying for no reason. You make a joke about the vegetables being too well behaved. They're not even rolling off tables like usual, but no one laughs. You realize you might have said it aloud. Later that afternoon, the elder with the clouded eye pulls you aside. She doesn't ask how you've been sleeping. She doesn't need to. There's a bell, she says softly, that only rings when something is pretending to be someone. You raise an eyebrow. I thought it was when someone was about to die. She shrugs. That too. But maybe that's the same thing. You don't ask what she means. You just nod. Pretending to understand is easier than being corrected by someone who knows what bones taste like. The next night you set a boundary. You draw a ring of salt around the bell, just to be safe. Not because you believe in it, of course. That would be silly. You also wear your jacket backward, just in case the echo gets confused. The bell doesn't ring, not once. So you leave the salt there, and over the next few nights you experiment. You speak to it. You sing. You bring it pebbles from the riverbed, a knucklebone from your late dog, a thistle in full bloom. Still nothing. You stop touching it. Still nothing. You stop watching it. That's when it rings. You're 2 steps into the forest path when it chimes, soft, distant, amused. You turn slowly. No one is there. This time the sound doesn't come from the pedestal. It comes from the wishing well 30 paces away, half sunken and lined with whisperweed. The same plant once used in prehistoric Egypt to wrap small offering seeds, trinkets, teeth, before lowering them into tombs too shallow for the dead to stay quiet. That's a real fact, by the way. Whisperweed fibers were found near the Fayum portraits, those strange, lifelike mummy paintings that seem to blink when you look away. You remember reading that long ago in a book you never returned to the library. You've never liked the well. Even as a child, you swore it breathed. Once during a drought, you dropped a stone and heard it land 3 seconds before the splash. That shouldn't be possible, but tonight it's silent. Still. You approach slowly, bell still within view. The edge of the well is worn smooth by time and touch. You peek in. There is no reflection, just your face, too still, too pale. Blinking once, but not when you do. You step back. You don't run. Running would make noise, and noise is how things find their name here. You don't sleep that night either. The next morning the bell is warm. Not sunlight warm, not ember warm, skin warm. You consider making another joke, something about ancient rocks being needy, but you don't. You just sit with it. That's when the knocking starts. Not at your door, from inside your walls. Like something forgot how to use hinges. You check the walls, nothing. You check under the floorboards, still nothing. Then just before dusk, the bell rings again. This time it's sharper, hungrier. You step outside and see it, a figure standing just beyond the trees. Still, tall, cloaked in bark and silence. You raise your hand in a hesitant wave. It waves back, perfectly matched but reversed. You lower your hand. It doesn't. That night the elders tell a story. Not to you, but to the children. You pretend not to listen from the edge of the gathering. It's not that the bell invites anything, and the elder says, it warns the world something has gotten out. You glance at the well. You glance at the pedestal. You glance at your shadow. It is not your shadow. Just for a moment it shifts, like it's getting into position. One researcher once theorized that ancient burial bells were not for ceremony, but for surveillance. Early Neolithic graves occasionally contained stones shaped for resonance struck only once upon sealing, to alert the living if they were ever disturbed. But no one ever documented what happened when they rang again. You take a walk that night. You don't tell anyone. You bring salt in your pocket, a coin in your mouth, a small mirror tucked under your sleeve, 3 offerings, one for each bell you've heard now. You pass the grove, you pass the pedestal, you stop at the well, you listen. The wind doesn't whistle, it hums. 3 notes. Like breathe. 1, 2. You don't wait for the 3rd. You go home. But when you get there, the door is already open, and you remember you never left it that way. You stand in your own doorway, staring at the fact that it is no longer yours. Not because someone took it, not because it's changed, but because you've been changed by standing outside it too long, watching, calculating, waiting to see if the shape inside the house is still your life or something wearing it. The air inside smells the same. Dust and lavender, the last of the winter apples, a half-forgotten pot of tea. Everything is exactly where it should be. That's what worries you. Even the small crack on the windowsill, the one that used to look like a question mark, has been filled. You didn't fill it. You were planning to. You bought the clay last week. It's still in your bag, but the crack is gone. Too tidy. Too correct. There's a slipper at the threshold. Just one. You've never Sundays, and then the bell rings. It doesn't sound close. It doesn't sound far. It sounds level. As if it is not outside anymore. As if it has come in. As if it waits now in your kitchen pretending to be a kettle. You step inside holding your breath. The floor doesn't creak. It always creaks. That's how you know it's listening. Every room looks right. Your books remain piled in exactly the kind of organized disorder that no one else could recreate. But something about them is too clean, too dry. You pick one up. The dust is gone, but so is the underlining. So are the dog-eared corners. Your reading scars vanished. This is a house without history. You check your reflection in the dark window. It matches you. But there's something in the background, a shape, a blur, a dark shoulder where no furniture stands. You blink. Gone. You wait. It doesn't come back. Still, you walk outside and knock on your own door, just to be sure. It answers. The bell rings. From the bedroom? You never kept it there. It shouldn't be there. You don't go in. Instead, you visit this archivist. The one who lives in the dome house at the edge of the settlement. The one who talks to beetles and collects time the way others collect dried herbs. She doesn't laugh when you explain. She offers you a cup of broth and a story. There are bells that measure time, she says, and bells that hold it. And then there are bells that break time, open like a seed. You sip quietly. They don't ring in one direction, she adds. They ring in all of them, especially sideways. You try to smile. So I'm not cursed, I'm just sideways. She nods. It happens more often than you'd think. That's why I boil time before drinking it. You're not sure if she's joking. She hands you an old scrap of carved shell, a fragment from the Antikythera wreck she claims, though, of course she also once claimed to have adopted a thunderstorm. The etching shows 3 circles, one for the moon, one for the sea, and one for a bell hanging upside down. This was a warning, she says. Don't listen to things that ring without being rung. You ask what to do. Stop inviting it in, she replies. You may not have opened the door, but you lingered too long outside it. You leave with the scrap. You keep it in your pocket. You don't go home. Not yet. That night you sleep in the old storage hut by the overgrown kiln. The floor is uneven. The roof leaks. The stones remember warmth. It feels safer than silence. You dream of the bell ringing from beneath your pillow. You dream of the wishing well bubbling with voices that only speak when your ears are covered. You dream of the dark shoulder seated across from you at your own table, gently stirring sugar into nothing. You wake to the sound of footsteps pacing outside, measured, repeating, not searching, rehearsing. The bell rings, then again, then a third time. Somewhere a mirror cracks. You don't know where, you just hear it. You remember something your grandmother used to say before she forgot which language belonged to her? When a bell rings 3 times but no one hears the first, it wasn't for the living. You tell yourself you've only heard 2. You tell yourself you'll be safe if you don't touch your face, just in case it isn't yours anymore. When morning comes, the entire settlement is quieter. Not empty, just muffled. As if the village were moved half an inch to the left in the night. You speak to people, but their words arrive a second late. You ask the baker for bread and he hands you a stone. He doesn't notice. You chew politely. Later, the ground near the wishing well shifts, just slightly, like it's adjusting itself under a blanket. Someone suggests burying the bell. Someone else suggests burying you. You all laugh, but not quite enough. The elder with the clouded eye places a basket of ash around your doorstep. She doesn't explain. She just nods. You try not to go home, but eventually you must. The door is open again. The single slipper is now a pair. They're facing out. You close the door behind you. You light every candle. You sit in the middle of your house and speak your own name aloud 7 times. Nothing answers, not even the bell. You think that might be worse. You fall asleep in the chair, knees tucked, mirror shard in hand. The bell rings, but not aloud. This time it rings in your bones. You wake with your heart ringing in your chest, echoing like a stone dropped down a well that doesn't believe in endings. For a moment, you think it was just a dream until you move your arm and realize your skin is humming. Not trembling, not cold. Humming. A low, steady frequency like someone left the bell inside your marrow. You go to the window and look out. Everything is perfectly wrong. The trees are taller than they were yesterday. The clouds are moving in the opposite direction, and the wishing well has moved 5 inches closer to your house. You measure it. Twice, just to be sure. You visit the pedestal. The bell is still there, still untouched, still cold, still ringing, except it doesn't make a sound anymore. Not out loud. Instead, it pulses through the soil, through your feet, up your spine, like a gentle reminder you are being remembered. No one else seems to feel it. They're busy with spring tasks now, mending roofs, weaving nets, drawing chalk circles around their gardens to keep out the things that don't blink. That's what the children call them. You try not to ask what they mean. You pass the bone flute player again. He doesn't look at you, but this time the tune he plays is the exact same sequence the bell used to ring. You pause. He plays faster. You back away. That night you sleep in the tallest tree you can find. You don't trust your house, you don't trust the ground. You barely trust your own dreams, and for good reason. In your dream, the bell finally speaks. It says only one word. Welcome. And the word echoes backward in time, so that you wake up already afraid of something that hasn't happened yet. You climb down just before dawn and walk the perimeter of the village. The border stones carved long ago by people who swore the wind could read are cracked. All of them. Every single one. Not smashed, split from within. Like something whispered its way out. You ask the elder with the clouded eye what that means. She says it means whatever's coming didn't start with us. We're just the latest page it's reading. You ask how to stop it. She smiles. You can't stop a bell once it's been heard. You can only decide whether to follow the sound or hide from the silence after. You don't ask for clarification. You know she doesn't give them. Not since the storm that rode her dreams in reverse for a week. Later, at the edge of the well, you find something you weren't expecting, a letter. Folded neatly, tucked between two whisper weed stalks. Addressed to you. It's written in your handwriting. You haven't written it yet. It reads, "Do not answer on the third ring." That one's for you. You tuck it into your coat. The wind doesn't even try to steal it. That evening, as the sky bleeds into slate and moths begin to drift like forgotten thoughts, you notice something else. There are more bells, tiny ones, hanging in the trees, woven into the grass, tucked behind stones under moss beside the old kiln. You never put them there. You count 23 before you stop. All made of the same volcanic glass. All ringing at once but not out loud. Through you. You kneel, press your ear to the earth. There's a rhythm now, a pulse beneath the soil. It matches your heartbeat. No, not quite. It's half a beat behind, as if it's watching, learning, practicing. That night you find yourself walking toward the well again. You don't remember deciding to. Your feet are bare. Your pocket is empty. The note is gone. You reach the rim. You look down. You see yourself, not reflected, standing at the bottom, looking up, smiling, not blinking. You step back, fall to your knees, and hear the third bell ring. Clear, pure, final. You cover your ears. Too late. It's already inside. You don't sleep. You don't return home. Instead, you wander into the grove where the wind doesn't follow and the birds never land. You find a new pedestal. This one is waiting for you. Empty. But you know what belongs there? Your voice. That's what it wanted. You sit down beside it and begin to hum. The same note the bell sang all those nights ago. The trees seem pleased. The insects fall silent. The earth listens. Somewhere far behind you in the village that no longer says your name, the original bell rings one last time. But no one hears it, because the bell is no longer for them. It's for you, and you are already ringing. You don't go back, not because you can't. The paths still remember your weight. The door still opens when you touch it. Your shadow still falls the right way in moonlight. But something has shifted. You are no longer expected. That's the part they don't warn you about when a place decides you've become extra. Not wrong, not dangerous. Just added. A footnote to your own life, quietly removed from the text. The village continues, as villages do. Crops are tended. Stories are told. Bells are avoided. They've stopped ringing mostly. Except once on the solstice, when a child wandered too close to the whisperweed grove. The bell didn't ring from its pedestal. It rang from her chest. She laughed. No one else did. You are deeper in the grove now, where the wind can't pronounce your name. The trees here bend slightly toward you as if listening, as if unsure, as if waiting for you to say something important. But you don't. You've learned once you speak near the pedestal, something always answers. Instead, you collect bells, tiny ones, shaped from tooth and shell twined with root hair, etched with tiny spirals. The kind of markings found on Paleolithic cave beads, Small, precise notches once assumed to be decorative, but now believed by a few brave archaeologists to represent lunar cycles or breathing patterns or the dreams of extinct animals. Some researchers still argue whether those ancient markings meant anything at all, or whether we're simply projecting our own fears onto the past like shadows pretending to be myths. You know better. You've seen what happens when patterns repeat. You've seen what answers when they stop. There's a mirror near the clearing now. Not one you brought. Not one you remember. Just a shard leaning against a root catching the light wrong. It never shows you what you're wearing. Only your eyes. Only when they're closed. That's how you know it sees truth. You laugh sometimes. Quietly. At the little things. How the moss always grows in spirals around the newest bell. How the insects now make a sound just off from yours as if harmonizing. How your heartbeat feels like a guest you've grown to like even though you never invited it in. And every so often you get visitors. Not many, but enough. Someone will wander too far into the grove. A traveler, a dreamer, a child who thought the well might speak. You never approach. You just hum. If they hum back, you remember them. If they don't, you forget. That's fair. One evening just before the stars arrive, the pedestal begins to glow faintly. A pulse. Like a breath. Like a bell that hasn't been rung in a long, long time. You kneel beside it. There's no fear. Not anymore. Only a question. And that perhaps is what the bell has always been. Not a warning. Not a summons. Just a question waiting for someone to be quiet enough to hear it. You place your hand on the stone. It does not ring. But somewhere far away, someone's breath catches. Someone forgets what they were about to say. Someone feels the ground hum beneath them and doesn't know why. And for a moment they are completely still. Just enough to hear you. There is no sound at the beginning. Only the waiting. Only the silence of stone remembering what it once held. And then somewhere between heartbeat and hush a ringing begins. It doesn't come from the bell. It comes from the absence the bell leaves behind. From the space that was once filled by a name. By a voice. By you. Now the world holds its breath when it passes that grove. Even the birds grow quiet mid-flight. Even the shadows keep their distance. Because some silences are not empty. Some silences are still listening. Some silences are you. And when the next soul forgets the rules, when the well shifts, and the reflection smiles first, when the footsteps begin again in walls with no doors, they will hear it. They will hear you, ringing,